Well, we actually were discussing this for about 15 minutes.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's all right, no
I was
problem.
going to come here at 5:30. I didn't want
No
to
problem.
intrude.
No problem.
So hi, everybody. I'm Rebecca Snyder, and I'm the Executive Director of the Maryland Delaware DC Press Association, of which the Salisbury Independent and the Wycomico Weekly are our members. And so, first off, thank you so much for allowing me to speak and really help to figure out what's important to you all here. And to that end, I sat down with both Daryl LaPrade and Bill Janis, the publishers of both publications, to really talk about some of the issues that have been coming up. And I've reviewed the ordinance, and huge shout out to Nate. You have totally done your work on this and looked at other ordinances and so forth. And so in collaboration with the publishers, we came up with something that I'm recommending that you try first. I mean, obviously, there is a problem in terms of some residents feeling like there are papers that are piling up, and that there's issues in terms of getting the response that they're looking for to be put on the do not deliver list. And so I think Julia very helpfully put it in your packets, our proposal. And when we read that ordinance, it felt like what you were really looking for was more direct communication and response from the publications themselves, and follow through. And so the things that we came up with were as specific as giving the city administration and staff a direct line of communication to the publications, putting some protocols in place in terms of getting those pubs on driveways, creating some benchmarks to make sure that we're being held accountable as an industry to do what we say we're going to do. But I really wanted to talk to you all and make sure that the problem is being solved, and make sure that the proposal that we've put before you really does address the needs that you see. So I hate to turn it over to you all, but I would love to hear what you have to say.
Well, one of the things that came up prior to you getting here was a suggestion by Mr. Boda relative to putting on our website a contact that would be passed through if a citizen has an issue, and put the list of the newspapers, each of them, on the website, and then if they check off a box, an email would be sent directly to the paper or to whoever the deliverer is, however you want to set it up. And that's in addition to the things that you mentioned here. And we think that would do a couple of things. That would certainly allow the citizens, one of the issues you have is, that someone brought up, and it's a good point, if a person doesn't get the paper, doesn't want to get the paper, and leaves it there, the advertisements in the paper, that person's not going to see.
Right.
Where they have a connection to the city, they can go on the website, for instance, check the box, and it would be sent directly off to the newspaper.
I mean, now, I don't get into the day-to-day operation of how the delivery happens, and I would have to just discuss it with the group, but to me, that makes a lot of sense. I think it provides another avenue of communication, and that's really what this comes down to. And we certainly, within our proposal, wanted to ask the city for help in how to serve citizens better. So I think it would make sense. I'm just going to turn here. Does that work for you, Bill?
Yes, I have no issue.
Okay. And Greg, what do you think? Is that something you feel comfortable talking about now? Okay. And so we're certainly willing to discuss it, and I think those are good ideas to think through, because we don't think of everything. So I really appreciate you bringing that up. Is there anything else?
Any other questions?
Okay.
No, if they're comfortable with that, then I'm good.
Oh, did we want to ask about information sharing? Mr. Tillman brought up the idea, how can we audit if we aren't in receipt of the information that the distributors are in receipt of?
So,
Are you all willing to share the information with us for people that have requested to go on the know?
well, one of the things that we thought would be appropriate as we're creating those benchmarks would be, and I don't know if in terms of the city administrator's staffing, if this is appropriate, but it sounded like you all were receiving some complaints, through city staff channels. And I think it would make a lot of sense to true up those requests. You know, if Cindy Jones says, I don't want this publication, to have a record of that kept at the city office so that, you know, at points during this period, you can say, okay, what happened to Cindy Jones? Is she off? I don't know if it's, tell me more about what you're thinking in terms of sharing the list. Like, how would that work in your
Well, for
mind?
people that come through the portal on the city, of
You'd
course,
capture
we
it, yeah.
We can capture that, but people that go directly to the newspaper, we can't capture that. I mean, I don't have a strong opinion about it one way or the other, but would you all, you know, if the publishers are willing to share with us their no contact list, I don't know if it would ever come up that someone asks for it,
Right.
but the willingness, I think, would be a excellent gesture on the part of the publishers and ease the mind of the city council if we
Sure.
could say, give us a copy of the people, the
Mhm.
list of the people that said no contact.
Okay.
For those that don't use our portal,
Right. And I again, we'd have to talk it through with the group and just make sure and kind of think through, you know, okay, well, how do you do that? Is there, you know, is that just making more work for you all in some way? I think it's, you know, I'm the press association. We deal in transparency all the time. That's what we're about. We think that there should be access to information. So I'll bring it back to the group, and I feel like there's some way that we can work through it to get you what you need.
Well, again, there's two ways that it usually happens. One, it comes through the mayor's office, generally, complaints, and then we get them.
Right.
So we know.
Well, and that's what I really think accountability is so important in this. I
Yeah.
mean, a lot of what's happened is that there's a general feeling that complaints have not been followed up on, and so we do recognize that there's a trust issue that needs to be repaired. And so I think, you know, I guess I am kind of a one-trick pony. Like, transparency really helps to build that trust. And so I would imagine the complaints that are coming through a portal, through the mayor's office, gosh, I hope we don't have so many that, you know, there's this huge number to keep up with. And if the publishers are willing, you know, to share the do not deliver list, that's, I think it can only help.
Any other questions? Then, taking everything in and listening, I would make a suggestion that what we do is we give this a trial period, and I think by the time we set it up, we need some time to set up our own website, and then to obviously get enough time for data to be collected. I would recommend that we not table this, but we hold off on the legislation for 2 months, see what transpires, and if there's not an improvement, then we'll discuss the legislation again. That would be my recommendation. And I'll poll the council now to see what they think. Mr. Harrington?
I'd like to go back and do the original legislation.
Do the original legislation.
I concur with you.
Okay.
How long will it take you for us to get our website going? Because we have a new website coming
Well,
soon.
yeah, we're sort of in a weird period. We're doing training with staff for the new website, and I think our last training is next Friday, so I would think the following week we'd be live, hopefully. So, I mean, if that gets delayed, we could do something on the current website and put it, you know, front and center for the time being. But it'll look a lot nicer when we have the new website. But I think we can do it pretty quickly, no matter what.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I want to at least collect some data and get some information and see how this works.
Okay. Ms. Jackson?
Same.
Same. Okay, that's what we'll do.
Okay.
We'll, 2 months, we'll see where we are. We'll do an audit, and then we'll see where we go.
Terrific. And so that's the beginning of June, right? So
Yes,
just wanted to make sure my timeline was
Yep.
right. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate it.
you're welcome. think we've covered everything on the agenda.
Council discussion, closed
Council
session.
discussion. Anybody have any items on the council discussion? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to convene in closed session.
So moved.
Mr. Boda? Who's the second? I'm sorry.
Myself.
April? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And chair votes aye. We are now in closed session.